In today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey in becoming an embodied writing coach. So, you're going to hear me dive into a little bit of history of my world as a professor of English, all the way to what I call myself now, which is an embodied writing coach. And I invite you to use this as a time to reflect on where you are, where you've been, and where you might want to go next. And I have a special invitation for something that one of my fabulous BodyMind coaching colleagues is doing that I can't wait to share with you. I'm so excited you are here. Let's jump right in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Written Compass. Shayna Hartman here, PhD turned embodied writing coach. And I'm just super excited to be here. It's an interesting time of the year. I hope it's an interesting time of year whenever you are listening to this. But for us right now, we are transitioning back to school. All of these sorts of new things are happening. Weather not quite changing here yet in North Carolina. We like to keep it hot and steamy a little bit longer. And then we have all of our pretend falls and then back to summer and then pretend winters and all the things. If you know, you know. For my fellow Southerners. But in today's episode, just kind of honoring ideas around transitions and shifts and all of that sort of stuff, I thought it would be fun to kind of share a little bit about my writing business journey. And I actually shared this, if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, I kind of shared a little bit about this not too long ago. And I thought I wanted to just kind of elaborate, bring it into the podcast. And here's my intention around this is I think when we are business owners, when we are writers, we see other people and we kind of create our own little image of like what their life must be like, right? And how they came there and they must have it all figured out is often the impression, I'll at least speak for myself, that I get. And so I love when people are really transparent and just say, hey, here's what my journey has been like. And here's how I don't have it figured out. Here's what I'm figuring out. I kind of sometimes call it the in-between. Some people call it that liminal space. But I wanted to just share a little bit because it's been a really interesting journey for me. So for those of you who've never read my background or anything like that, I actually come from the teaching world as an educator. My undergraduate degree, go ECU Pirates, where I was a college athlete and all kinds of fun stuff. I became an English educator, so received my license to teach in the state of North Carolina, did all the things for that. But I always knew I wanted to teach at the college level. When I got to college, I loved the environment. I really felt free and just really open to supporting people in that environment. And so I always knew I was going to go on and get my master's and ultimately get my PhD. There was a little time where I thought I was going to also be a coach as well as teach. And those of you who understand higher ed, you realize like that is a difficult thing to do and not many people do it. So that was a short-lived dream. But I went on, got my master's in English, specifically started to focus on the thing that I love, which, as you may have guessed, was writing. So rhetoric and composition was my focus there. And also had a teaching assistantship, also had a graduate assistantship where I got to help coach the women's team at UNC Charlotte. And then went and actually used my teaching license and taught for a few years at the high school level, and then started my PhD, also at UNC Charlotte in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that is where I really just came into my own in my research. And again, the focus was all about writing. And I just became so fascinated with how we learn to write and people's understanding and self-efficacy around writing. And then I was hired at a small private institution here in kind of the southwest of North Carolina. And I got to be an English education professor. So I taught things like writing to first year students and then all the way up into master's programs. But my main focus was around supporting future teachers of English. And you guessed it, I was the one that was teaching about teaching writing and all of these sorts of things. So there's been a big theme around writing. And fast forward, as I became a coach many years later, I now call myself an embodied writing coach. And so I want to kind of, a lot of people are like, why do you say embodied writing coach, right? And the reason is because I am a certified BodyMind coach. And I really want to kind of like try to be a humble brag here, but you're glad that I am, trust me. So what I mean by this is Coaching, there's a lot of coaching out there. Coaching is becoming more popular. It's becoming more prevalent. People understand that having a coach is just as valuable in so many ways in your life, whether you own a business or whether just in general you want support around so many different areas of life. There are coaches now who support people in everything from relationships to health to business and to people like me with their books. And so I love that. I love that coaching has become more and more popular. And in turn, writing a book is also becoming more and more popular. And I love that too. I love that people are realizing like this is no longer something for an elite few, that so many of us have access to writing. And that's something that harkens back. Like I really had that as a philosophy, as a teacher, as a professor. I believed everybody was a writer, and I still have that belief. And I've always approached it as you have something to say and we want you to share it. We want you to share it from your heart, right? And so I love that coaching is popular. I love that writing a book is popular. But what's really interesting about me being a body mind coach and thus an embodied writing coach is that I actually bring in and incorporate an embodied conversation as a part of that book writing coaching. And that is a little bit unusual. I don't see a lot of that out there, if at all. Like I said, I was in the classroom teaching writing from high school to graduate school for 18 plus years. So I knew how to talk to people about writing, right? That was something that I had been doing. And I was always kind of that hippy dippy teacher. I played music at the beginning of class. Even if I was teaching an online class, I did this. And I asked my students to always start the day. I called it writing into the day. And I always ask my students to, really connect to themselves through writing and just use it as a tool. I didn't call it embodiment at the time. Now I definitely do. But I would ask my students, instead of trying to find the right answer, which PS, it doesn't exist in a lot of the writing they were asked to do. And I say this to my clients now, there's no one right way or to write your book or to, address the topic that you're interested in writing about. But I always want people to dig deeper, right? I wanted them to go beyond, for my students, I wanted them to go beyond just that idea of the right answer that they thought I wanted in their writing. And I knew how to motivate and encourage students as they trudged through what felt like drudgery, at least probably. Hopefully not as much in my classes, but I'm sure it was there. Trudging through those assignments, master's theses, all that good stuff. And yet I knew at that time there were still some parts of their work as writers that I wasn't quite equipped to tap into. And no one in my, K through 12 and much less undergraduate, master's, PhD really showed me about how to tap into that deeper part, that disconnect that I could see my students feeling. Because teaching is often viewed as I'm supposed to give answers, right? I'm supposed to, with writing, like I'm supposed to check their grammar. I'm supposed to correct their work. It's all about kind of this telling them what they're supposed to know about writing. Then fast forward when I became a massage therapist, that's what I was a little bit before I started coaching. That was a little bit of a whim journey. I'll share that for another day, but it was something that I did on the side. It wasn't going to be a full business for me. There was a part of me, I was a mom at this point of 3. I had a lot going on as a tenured professor. And there was honestly a lot where I was glad to not have to have the conversation like I did all the time in my classroom. And to be in total silence for 60 to 90 minutes, was really nice, right? But then, as so many of us as body mind coaches have seen, that our clients started opening up, right, about their work, their life, their relationships. And I knew that the pain that I was feeling and working on, in their shoulder or between their shoulder blades or in their low back, I could see that there was some connection between the things that they were talking about from their life and these pain points. And I also knew there was this deeper layer of talking about that pain in order to help them move forward. But I wasn't taught that in massage school. No one ever explained that, because in massage, it's very clear, like you don't counsel, right? And so oftentimes as holistic practitioners, okay, I can't counsel. I'm not a therapist, which is great. Love that boundary. But we often wind up, just giving answers or advice like, hey, you need to drink more water. You need to do this stretching. And there was a disconnect still, just like I saw with my students and the conversations I was having with them. I saw similar disconnects with my massage clients and the conversations I was having with them. And so when I learned the value of the conversation first with my students, because as I was embarking on my body mind coaching certification journey, I was still teaching and I was still seeing massage clients. I started to realize like there was this real power in understanding the importance of the conversation. And more importantly, really stepping into my alignment as I started to develop and grow my coaching business and making sure that I was acting from my alignment, from my values, and then supporting my clients in doing the same. That body mind approach really was that missing piece for me. And suddenly, the people that I was supporting, they were able to touch and go to those places themselves because I knew how to do it for myself. And then I was supporting them do it for themselves. And it just really allowed them to come to this new truth for their life, whatever that may be, whatever, we were kind of working on. Again, if this was in the classroom, if this was with a massage client, and then it continued with my coaching clients. And so I really want you to, take a minute and check in, how are you continuing your learning around the power and the importance of the conversation with whomever you work with in life? I know a lot of people who are teachers who listen to this podcast, and I love that. And I know a lot of people who are coaches and consultants, counselors, everything in betwixt and between, how are you deepening your understanding around the power and importance of the conversation? And I want you to know that if this is something that you're kind of going, I haven't really thought about that in a while, you're not alone. I didn't know that either until I did. And now I get to run this really awesome, what feels to me very powerful business that supports thought leaders, mission-driven business owners get their embodied messages, get connected to that, get embodied, and express that through writing. And once I really learned how to structure those conversations and really tap into my alignment around how I wanted to run my business, it's really allowed me to stay focused on the client's current needs in the coaching session. It's allowed me to understand that I get to support them in seeing where those things are showing up in their body. So yes, we talk about the body, even in my writing coaching sessions with my clients who are working on their books. In fact, I was just having a conversation today with a client, and we were very much reflecting and looking at what was happening in their body as we were talking about their writing. And then they were able to, I am able to support them in giving that part of themselves where they're noticing in the body, giving it a voice. And that helps them express and decipher whatever truths, whatever things, inner messages that they feel like wants to come out, and really delineate those things, those true messages that want to come out from the things they think they're supposed to do. And their embodied writing emerges. And so I'm really, really proud to be a body mind coach. I'm proud to be a coach, but I'm particularly proud to be a body mind coach. And actually today, I want to do a little bit of plug for BodyMind because my good friend and mentor, whose book is also coming out very soon, stay tuned for that, Miss Laura Wick, she is actually doing a virtual retreat coming up. And if you are catching this in time live, it's happening September 22nd. It's a virtual day retreat, and it's for holistic practitioners, entrepreneurs, and just people who have this kind of understanding around that body mind connection, or just really wanting to support their clients in getting their best results, not the people who necessarily just teach step block type of things, or the kind of more masculine potentially approaches to business. And so this is called the Fiercely Aligned retreat. It's a virtual retreat. And the goal is really simple: unlock a simple path to bring your big vision to life. The thing that I love about BodyMind that's supported me not only is in having how to have these conversations with my clients from that embodied perspective, but it's also taught me how to, again, stay in alignment for me in my business, like the actual business inner workings, so that I can work less, actually earn more money working less, and serve on a really deeper level, and really how to do that with ease. So I am super excited to share this. I'm going to drop the show notes. In the show notes, I'm going to drop the link to this. And actually, for those of you who are listening to this, if this is something that you're interested in, you can use the code Shana, SHANA 30 at checkout, and you get a really nice discount on it, $30 off. And it's already a low cost item, and this makes it even juicier and easier to access. And the cool thing is Laura's doing this really cool thing with it, is she's actually giving you some really cool bonus resources so that as soon as you sign up, you actually get access to those things. So you can help kind of start to create the aligned processes and business processes that you want. So you can really live that fiercely aligned life. So I wanted to share today, I'm curious what shows up for you when you hear me kind of talking about what it has been like for me on my embodied writing journey, and anything that shows up for you around, the power of the coaching conversation and the importance of living in alignment with whatever it is you do in your life, and particularly, hopefully, with your words as well. So be sure to check out the show notes so you can get access to the Fiercely Aligned virtual retreat. Don't forget to use the code Shana30. And then don't forget to ask me any questions about the way that I work, how I've become this type of coach. A lot of my fellow colleagues, we do so many different things. It's really this powerful tool that no matter how you want to work with people or how you want to show up in the world with your coaching, being a BodyMind coach has really supported me in so many different offerings and programs. And I see that in my colleagues as well. Thanks for listening today. This was a little bit of a different episode, but I think it's fun to kind of have some of that background transparency sometimes around the work that we do and how we show up in the world. I look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Written Compass. If you are enjoying this content, do me a favor and go and review the podcast. This allows me to share and get these messages out to the people who really need them, who we want to read their books in the future. You can also go and share your thoughts and tag me at Shana Hartman _ on Instagram. Again, this is just a way for us to get connected and share the writing love. And if you know that you are ready to write your book, that message that's been burning inside of you for a long time, then I want to talk to you. My team and I want to talk to you. Head on over to shanahartman.com and click Work with Us. From there, you'll see an application to explore and see if writing your book is your next best step.